I'd like to formally introduce you to my beautiful dog, Sugar Plum. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to my channel. Throughout the end of summer and the beginning of fall, I have been getting a lot more into reading, and I wanted to share with you some of the books that I have purchased, just as a little TBR. So for reference, here is the first little stack. Here is the next little stack of books that I will be going over. To start us off, let's start with the books that I have thrifted this summer. The first one is probably the most popular book I found, but it is Book Lovers, which you have probably heard of. I am really intrigued by this book just because of all the lovely things I've seen about it. In reviews, I've heard my friends and people online talk about how phenomenally written this book is. I just got this from a local bookstore, so it was about $6 for me, which was a really great find for this, but I am really going to enjoy reading this one. The next book that I picked up from the same bookstore is The Wise Woman. I am also excited about this novel, but I haven't heard any reviews on BookTube or anything like that about it, so it's more of I really liked the cover and the spine and everything, and I just thought it was a very intriguing book, but I'll give you a little synopsis of it. I will read you the last sentence or two of the synopsis. As the three women confront the disappointments and heartaches they have accumulated among them over the years, they discover that while the future may look entirely different from the one they expected, it can be even brighter than they hoped. So throughout this book, we follow three women who just go through day-to-day life being like a mother and working a job and dealing with things that are very human, and I am just interested in what aspects this book will focus on and what type of read it is going to be. The next book I picked up because the title made me giggle a little bit is All Men Are Liars. This is another novel, but this one is much shorter than the last, and I am just very intrigued by the storyline that it says on the synopsis on the back. A little synopsis about this book is this interviewer is interviewing the friends and family of this writer who passed away years ago about his life, and basically none of their stories add up or making any sense, so the interviewer is doing a lot of work. This book is only 205 pages, so it's probably going to be a much shorter, maybe a couple day read for me. I read pretty slow just because I can't stay focused on one thing for so long. I usually don't read in one sitting unless it is very fast read. It is impactful, like a thriller where it just sucks you in so fast. On to the next book I got from a used bookstore. I got The Keeper of Lost Causes. I read the first line of the synopsis and I immediately knew that I would love this book. For some reason, our character used to be one of Copenhagen's best homicide detectives, and I love me a story where it has to do with homicide detectives or like thrillers or things like that. I thought the book just was interesting looking. This novel, I just imagine it's going to be really good. It's about a homicide detective who is doing cold cases, and that just sounds so good. So once I read this, I will update you on all my thoughts and opinions on this one. And finally, the last book I got is Emma. I am really excited to read a work of Jane Austen's. I have never read one of Jane Austen's, any of her work before, to be honest, as far as I'm aware of. But I am so excited. I was watching Jack in the Books, an amazing booktuber that you have probably heard of. I will link his stuff below. He was talking about this in such a phenomenal way. It just I immediately had to pick it up, and I found it at a used bookstore for only $2.50, and I was like, this is here for me. So I got it, and I'm really excited to start reading this. It is going to take me a while because it's such a big book, but I've heard the payoff is worth it. It is one of Jane Austen's best works. If you want to do more research on this, I suggest you do because it is just a classic. The next novel I would like to talk about is Verity, which I have already read because I read the first 50 to 100 pages over a span of a couple days. The next time I went to read it, I finished the novel. It was amazingly written. I'll probably talk about that more in the future, but I liked it so much that I got the collector's edition. It did come a little scratched along it and along the spine of the book as well, but I liked this so much that I got one, and this also has an exclusive new chapter, which I am so excited to read. I literally unpackaged this mere moments ago, and I was like, I need to sit down, record this video, and immediately after, I will be reading this chapter. But I highly suggest, if you like thrillers or if you like subplots of romance, this is it's just so good. I was on the edge of my seat reading the last 200 or so pages. I just couldn't put the book down. Another book that I am oh so excited to read, I got in my Book of the Month package. This is my first book of the month. I am just really excited to start maybe branching out to not only different genres, but different authors and reading things that I wouldn't have originally picked up for myself. This is not sponsored, but I just find that this is a much simpler way of branching out. The book that I got in my Book of the Month package is Killers of a Certain Age. I haven't seen anyone review this book yet, but I heard the synopsis and I was just enlightened and immediately intrigued into wanting to read more about these characters. It is about 4 female assassins that are around in their 60s that get sent on an island for retirement. But things are not as they seem. People are trying to kill these women, so it is either kill or be killed, as the book puts it in the synopsis. And just the idea of being an assassin for 40 years and all these women making out and retiring and going on a trip like this, in general, that sounds like a great concept, but adding the idea of people going after them, it just sounds so unique and very interesting. And I feel like learning how all these characters think and work things out is going to be very intriguing. Not only do I like thrillers, but I love books that just make me feel emotions that the world hasn't made me feel yet, or makes me relive things that just hit your heart a little bit differently. And so I picked up a book called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I am so nervously excited to start this book. I have heard that it tugs at your heartstrings in all the right ways, and it just is such a pretty cover, but sounds like such a phenomenal story. I have purposely not read the synopsis because I feel like I would rather go into the story not knowing anything other than my heartstrings will get pulled and tugged on and I will possibly cry at this, and most likely I will. But I am just so excited for an idea of this book just to rip me apart. That sounds not as good as I was intending it to be, but like, sometimes you just need a good cry, and so I got a book to do that for. Now I'm going to discuss the oh-so-popular book that I have seen so many things about everywhere, and I swear everyone online has read, is I'm Glad My Mom Had Died. As a child, I loved Jeanette McCurdy. iCarly was my favorite show. My first concert I ever went to was actually a Miranda Cosgrove concert, funny enough. Here's a photo me and my cousin took before the concert, and we obviously posed in front of the iCarly sign. The parts of her life she had to live because of her fame and because of her mother, it sits differently with me, and I'm just so intrigued to figure out all the little details that happened. I have been told a lot of the plot points, but still I want to hear, I guess not firsthand, but in a way firsthand, of what actually happened so I can hear it myself, The next book, or books, I wanted to discuss is Mouse. So this is a graphic novel, and it is not about comforting topics. This is a very hard-hitting couple of books for many people, and so I would tell you to approach these books with caution. As many books, whenever you pick up a book, I would recommend reading the trigger warnings. Whenever you pick up any book, as a matter of fact, I'd recommend you read the trigger warnings just in case. Because a couple times when I've not read trigger warnings on books, it just isn't what you need in that moment. It can bring you a couple steps back on a life where you were just leaping forward, you know? But as you can tell about these book covers, these are very historical based books, and this is taken in a way where there are no humans, everyone is basically an animal. And I haven't ever thought about life being in a way like that, and especially history. I am no big history buff. As a matter of fact, history has always been my least favorite topic overall. But this is making me want to look more into our world's history, whether that be because the concept of this book is so intriguing and sad, or for many other multitudes of reasons. I'm just, when I heard about this book and how it is a banned book and why it's banned and stuff, I think it is because some schools don't want their students knowing the true story.
2 seconds after that clip ended, I went on a very long rant about the American education system that I cut out for you. You are welcome.
Not to get on a whole rant about education, but I feel like the truth should be out there and accessible to people, especially on world history, because we don't want to continue repeating our own mistakes. I'm just really interested to learn more about these books. The next book that I think I'm going to start reading after I finish the book that I'm currently reading is The Silent Patient. I am so excited to read this. This is right up my alley. I have heard amazing things about it. I have been waiting for the weather to get more rainy, and today is the first day it is kind of rained. It sprinkled for like 2 hours, and that's enough rain for me, and it's officially fall. But I've just been wanting to curl up in a blanket with candles around me and read this book, and now is finally the time to do that. So I've been waiting for a while to get my hands on this, and I finally did, and I can finally read it now. So I'm just thrilled. Then another book that I've been looking for a really long time, but every time I find one I don't like the cover or it is damaged or something like that, is Little Women. After watching the movie a couple months ago for the first time, I just realized how impactful the stories of these women are, and about how they all matter and everyone matters, but especially in this time period where women weren't seen as equals. It just sounds like a fantastic book, and it is so beautifully illustrated. It is 150th anniversary edition, and then look at the edges of the book. I don't know how well you can see that, but I don't have any book with these edges. It's just, I know as soon as I finish reading this is going to be a comfort book for me, and I'm just so excited for it to be a comfort one for me. Now we're going to do a speed round of the last 4 books I have here, so let us begin that now. She Gets the Girl, a memoir titled Crying in H Mart, Loveless by Alice Oseman, and Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. If you have any recommendations for me on which books I should read next and which books are your favorite out of these, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. Have a great morning, evening, or afternoon wherever you are, and I'll see you later. Bye!